All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on BC billing. My name is Monica, and I am one of the product trainers here on the training team. I've been with QHR for 4 years now, and I mostly train on Ontario billing as well as clinical and clerical workflows. Today's event is live, and the training team is standing by to answer your questions. The chat has been disabled, so please ask your questions using the Q&A button at the top of your screen. Once selected, you will have the question and answer pane open on the right side of your window. Click Ask Question to get started. Select Show One New Comment to open the conversation. When you see New Post, click to see newly posted questions and responses. When the question has been answered by the training team, you'll see Show One New Comment under your question. Please sit back and enjoy today's event. There is no need to take notes as the presentation is being recorded and will be available in the Accuro resources page for your future reference. For today's agenda, we will be going over how to configure a provider and how to set some billing defaults, how to enter and submit claims, and how to reconcile claims and deal with rejections. I'm just going to go ahead and switch to my Accuro screen now. In BC, there are some configuration items that we should be completing first to ensure that our settings are correct and the billing is being submitted with the correct details. To start, we'll head into the configuration area of Accuro, which can be accessed by pressing F2 on your keyboard. Alternatively, you can also head to the Accuro Start menu in the lower left, and then Tools, and this first option here for Configure Providers. On the left-hand side of the screen, we'll select which provider we'd like to set up, and then at the bottom of the screen, we'll select Configure. From this provider wizard window, we need to get to the billing details section, so we'll press Next in the lower right-hand corner. Here is where our configuration needs to be completed. So we'll start at the top of the screen here. We first need to start by entering in our practitioner number. This is going to be the MSP billing number. We then have the data center number. This is going to be your 5-digit alphanumeric number. We then have the payee number. This informs MSP where to send payments for claims that have been submitted. Generally, the provider's practitioner number and payee numbers are the same, unless the provider is designated to another practitioner or another group. If the payee number that's listed is not correct, you can use the 3 ellipses to see the other payee numbers that are available. If the provider's payee number doesn't appear in this list, it actually needs to be added in a different section of Accuro before it can be selected here. To do that, I'm just going to quickly cancel out of this window here. We'll need to go to the Accuro Start menu, and I'm going to use the search field at the top of the screen to head into Manage Billing Numbers. The payee number must be entered here first using the green Add button for it to become available within that configuration section. I'll now close out of this window, and if I head back into my configuration, select Next. When I use those 3 ellipses next to the payee number, that number that I just added is now here. The SCC number can be entered if it's applicable. This is used for providers who work in rural areas. This is used for providers to receive the rural retention premium. Once it's set up here, it will be attached to any future claims. Then we have some defaults that we can set. We can set the default diagnostic code or the default procedure code for all new bills. This setting is optional. New bill location and new appointment location are also optional settings. This will set the defaults for any new bill. Facility code, you can also enter in a facility code if it's applicable. This is going to be for providers who are eligible for the business cost premium. Once we've set up our configuration and our defaults, we'll need to close out of this window. We can select Next in the lower right-hand corner and then Finish. Next, we need to enter in the teleplan details, and this needs to be done in a few different areas of Accuro. So first, we're going to head into that Accuro Start menu, select Billing, And then if I just scroll down on the right-hand side a little bit here, there's this Manage Teleplan Data Center. Here we'll need to use the New button to add in a new data center number. Once I press OK, a new Teleplan password window will appear where you can then enter the current Teleplan password. Once finished, you'll select OK. I don't need to enter anything in here, so I'm just going to cancel out of this, and then we can close out of this window. Next, for users who will be submitting claims, the Teleplan Data Center also needs to be added to the User Preferences section. So again, heading back into the Accuro Start menu, File, and then User Preferences. Next, from the left-hand side, we'll need to select Logins, and then you can select the appropriate Teleplan Data Center number from this dropdown. Then selecting Apply and OK in the lower right. Finally, we need to make sure that the Teleplan submitter setting is enabled in Manage Security. So one more time, just heading back to the Accuro Start menu, I'm just going to use that search field at the top. We'll head into Manage Security this time. We need to select the Users tab from the left-hand side. You'll select which user you'd like to set up using this dropdown at the top. And we need to make sure that this Teleplan Submitter checkbox is checked off. Then we can select Update User in the lower right. We can then close out of this window, but you will need to have the user log out and then log back into Accuro to refresh the changes. I'm just going to head into my claims section next. So there are a variety of places that you can complete your claims from. You can open the claim window from the claims section, the EMR, or the scheduler, but I'm going to get started in the Daily Claims tab first. The Daily Claims tab is going to hold all of the claims for that one single date that we're currently looking at. We can view this as either a date range or a single date using the drop-down in the top left-hand corner. We can see our private bills, there's a no-show or a no-charge patient, and we can also see our MSP claims here. The next tab over is the Unsubmitted Claims tab. It looks fairly similar to Daily Claims, but it is a little bit different. This tab here is only going to hold all of the claims that are waiting to be submitted to MSP. So we're not going to see any of our private or no-show, no-charge patients here. Claims can be completed from either of these tabs simply by right-clicking and then selecting Claim Details, or you can also just double-click on the patient's name. Either of these actions will open up the claim window. From the claim window, there are some items that will be required in order to submit to MSP. The left-hand side of the claim window is dedicated to the patient demographics. The patient's name will automatically populate if that claim is generated from an appointment. We can edit any of the demographics if needed, and then select Update at the bottom. Next to the patient demographics, we have the claim details. Some information will automatically populate here, again, if the claim was generated by an appointment. So at the top of the screen here, we can see that the date and the provider details are at the top. They're also grayed out, so meaning I cannot change them. And again, that's just because it's associated with an appointment. The next area is to enter in your procedure and diagnostic codes. I can double click into my procedure code field and I can search for the actual procedure code, or I can also search by keyword. I'll have my list of options here. You can also use the green add button to enter in as many procedure codes as needed, or the red X to remove rows if they're no longer needed. Moving down just a little bit, the location is going to default to whichever option was set in our F2 configuration. We also have an area for internal notes. Internal notes are internal to the office only, and these will not be sent to MSP. An MSP note can be included in this MSP note field. This will be sent to MSP with the claim. The submit code dropdown list should remain on auto unless there is a need to update this for a requested MSP action. The paper correspondence checkbox is used if the claim requires additional information and you'd like to send along your consult note or your OR note with the claim. Now, while in this claim window, I would like to cover WCB claims as well. If there is a need for WCB billing, you can add the procedure codes to the procedure field. So here I can start either searching for WCB. I'll get my list of options here. Or if I know the code that I need to bill, I can go ahead and search for it. Once I've added my code, I can also update the insurer just here in the middle of the screen using this dropdown to WCB. I can then also select the paper icon, which will populate the WCB form for me. These areas do need to be completed. My employer is already pulled in here. I've added them to the address book, so they are entered here. Their details are also displaying. And then on the right-hand side, I can come in and enter in the area of injury. So from the category dropdown, I'll select back, and then I'll select my code for back lumbar region. And then the nature of injury, I again can use the category and subcategory dropdowns. I'll select traumatic injury, oops. And we'll just select this first one here. Next, I'll need to enter in the date of injury, so I'll double click in that calendar icon, go back to January 14th. Once I've completed these fields, I can then select Save and Generate WCB form. This also needs to be completed. If this Save and Generate WCB form is grayed out and it's not available for you, if you hover over this, Accuro will give you a tooltip for which codes this option is available for. Next, I'll need to complete the secondary form as well. So I'll start with the diagnosis. I've got all my details here, so I'll just copy and paste them in. And from injury, they have been disabled from work. I'll enter in that date again, and then enter in my clinical information. Worker is not capable of fulfilling full-time duties, and they do have some restrictions. It'll also be at least 7 to 13 days before they go back to work. Once the second form is completed, you can print this off if the patient requires a copy of it, or we can simply just select Done to close out of this window. We can also press OK to then save and close out this WCB form. Once completed, whether it's your MSP claims or your WCB claims, we can press the Save and Close button in the lower right-hand corner, which will save all of the items completed and then close this window out. One thing to keep in mind with WCB claims is that they are time sensitive, meaning WCB will pay you out for the claims if they are submitted right away. If you hold off a day or two, they'll only pay out a certain percentage of the billed amount. Great, so there are a lot of different places you can bill from. We've covered the daily claims and the unsubmitted claims tab, but you can also bill from the EMR. If I head into the EMR, we can move into the Daysheet tab. You can right-click on your patient and then select View Bill. In the encounter notes, you have the appointments listed for today on the left-hand side. We can right-click on the appointment and then select Claim Details. You can also bill from your note. So if you've just finished up your note for today and you'd like to complete your billing as well, there is an Open Claim Details button at the bottom of the screen here. So lots of different areas where you can complete your claim from. It's really whatever is easiest for you. But when you are ready to submit your claims, we should head into the Claims section and also submit from your Unsubmitted Claims tab. There is a Submit Claims button in the lower right-hand corner. We always suggest submitting from the Unsubmitted Claims tab, as this will take every claim that's ready to go and it will submit it to MSP. It will also remove those claims from this tab, so they'll no longer be visible here. The items that are left behind mean that something is missing from the claim. If you're unsure why the claim was held back and not submitted, what you can do is you can single click on the patient's name, and there will be a red error message in the lower left-hand corner. So Accuro will let you know exactly why the claim was not submitted. Once you press the Submit Claims button, if you are submitting for the first time, you will be prompted with a window requesting the sequence number for the selected data center number. For clinics with a brand new data center number, you can enter 0 and then close out of that pop-up. If you are using an existing data center, you will need the last committed number. If you do not know what this number is, you can reach out to MSP. When users select Submit Claims, Accuro will automatically download any available remittances or rejections that are available. If you have no claims to submit but still want to download any new responses, you can simply click on the Remittances button, also located in the lower right-hand corner. Now that the responses have been sent back, the first tab that we should head into is the Unmatched Remittances tab. Unmatched remittances will contain all claims that were processed for the provider by MSP and then pulled into Accuro, but Accuro is unable to find a match to the response that has been received. This is most common when you first switch from your old billing software to Accuro. Before getting started, always ensure that this All Remittances checkbox in the middle is selected. Without selecting this, not all claims will be visible. The top half of the window will display claims that were sent back from MSP, and then the bottom section are claims that Accuro believes may be a match to the selected response. So most of the time in BC, this tab should be empty, but it is important to always take a look to make sure that nothing is in here. If there is a response in the top section, we can click on it as I have done here. This will prompt Accuro to look for any of those active claims that might be a match. When you have a matching claim in the bottom half of the window, the match will be highlighted in this green color. We're going to select that claim line, so both the top and bottom are highlighted in blue now. Once both lines are selected, we can then select Match. This is just located in the middle of the screen, just to the right here. When the response is matched to a claim in Accuro, it's going to be removed from the Unmatched Remittances tab. If the claim has been returned with an explanatory code description, it will be moved to both the Remittances tab and the Adjusted Remittances tab. If the claim was simply paid in full with no explanatory code and no explanation, it's just going to move into your Remittances tab. Once the unmatched is cleared out, we then can move into the next two tabs. So we've got two different tabs at the top here. We have our Adjusted Remittances, and we also have the All Refusals. All refusals will display all the responses that have been outright rejected at the MSP computer level. These will be for things like incorrect birthday, or maybe the patient didn't have coverage. The Adjusted Remittances tab is going to display all of the responses from MSP that have made it past the computer level edit, but they've been paid differently than what was originally billed. So this is going to include things like overpayments or partial payments. It is important to always reconcile claims in both of these tabs. One other tip, while you're working in either of these tabs, it is important to have the explanatory code displayed so that we can see exactly why the ministry has adjusted the claim or sent the claim back. So let's just get started in the all refusals first. The codes and messages that are provided are coming directly from MSP. The codes and descriptions can also be found on the ministry's website. So in this tab here, we're really doing one of two things. Either we are agreeing with the ministry or we are wanting to fix the claim and resubmit it. So if we agree with the ministry and would like to remove the claim from this tab, we can right-click and select Adjust to Paid. Regardless of payment status, it will adjust the billed amount to be the same as the paid amount to reconcile the claim so it's no longer outstanding. When you select Adjust to Paid, it will remove it from the All Refusals and no longer track the claim as needing any actions. When I selected Adjust to Paid, it's opened up this Adjustment Reason window. In this window, you can freely type the reason for adjustment, or we can also use this dropdown to create a list of frequently typed reasons. Alternatively, if you don't want to put any reasons in, you can simply just press OK. Entering a reason is optional. Also, from the right-click menu, there is an option to write off claims. Write-off is used similarly to Adjust to Paid. It will change the billed amount to the paid amount, so it's no longer outstanding. And write-off can be used if the provider has performed the service, billed for it correctly, but for whatever reason, it's just not going to be paid. Some examples of this can include if the claim is now stale dated, or maybe the patient just doesn't have coverage. The provider will not be able to receive payment, so write-off can be used. Sometimes the reason MSP has rejected the claim can be fixed for things like referring provider's billing number may be incorrect, or maybe the date of birth was entered incorrectly. We can fix those and we can resubmit those claims. So for this patient here, Vanessa Oval, it looks like the birthday may have been invalid. So to fix this, I can right-click and select Claim Details. I can use the panel on the left-hand side to update the patient's birthday, and then select Update. Once you have made your changes to the claim, you just need to check off this Resubmit checkbox that's close to the bottom of the screen. If there are multiple procedure lines, please make sure to select Resubmit for each of those. Next, we can press Save and Close. Once I've marked the Resubmit checkbox and I've pressed Save and Close, you'll notice that the text has changed color. It's now this blue color here. That just means that I have flagged this claim for resubmission. It will also move my claim into the Unsubmitted Claims tab, ready to be submitted again. So all of your work can be completed from the All Refusals tab, but the actual process of submitting it and sending it back to MSP should be completed from the Unsubmitted Claims tab, as it will hold the updated claim. Next, we have the adjusted remittances. These are claims that have been paid at a different amount than what was originally billed. From this tab, you can right-click and use the Adjust to Paid and Write-Off as we did in the All Refusals tab. So they work the exact same from either of those tabs. And you can still mark claims from this tab for resubmission as well. So I'm just going to right-click and select Claim Details from here. You can use the Resubmit checkbox. Again, it works the same here as well if you would like to send this back to the ministry. That Resubmit checkbox is at the bottom here. One other thing from the Adjusted Remittances tab is if there is ever a need to change the submit code, then an MSP note will also be required. The most commonly used submit code changes are usually to either authorization for overaged claims or debit. So if we are ever changing that submit code, then we should be entering in an MSP note as well. The next two tabs I'd like to cover are more on-screen reports, but they do have or do contain a lot of helpful information. So the first tab is the Remittances tab. This is going to display all of the claims that were processed during the selected payment period. The payment period will display in the lower left-hand corner. This is going to include any claims that are sent to the Adjusted Remittances tab. You can select which provider you'd like to view from the provider dropdown. I have it selected to all. You can also switch between payment dates. No work needs to be completed here, but it's just that on-screen report for you to be able to see each of your remittances. Next, we've got the Accounts Receivable tab. This is going to display all claims that have a dollar value that have not been paid in full. This is going to include overpayments, underpayments, rejections, claims that have not been submitted yet, or claims that have been submitted but no response has been received yet. When we first come into the Accounts Receivable tab, it usually is blank, but we do have to use these filters at the top of the screen to tell Accuro which information we'd like displayed. So from the insurer dropdown, you'll have the option to switch between any insurer. I'm just going to stick to MSP here. And then we also have to select Find Claims to load the report. Another step I'd suggest taking is sorting this by submitted date. You can do this just by clicking into the submitted column. Generally, we want to see the oldest submissions on top because we'd probably like to see why these haven't been paid out or why a response has not been received. If you wanted to look further into any of these claims, you can right-click on the claim and view the claim history. The claim history will give you the responses or anytime that you have submitted the claim, as well as any responses that have been received from the ministry. So here you'll be able to see exactly what's going on with those claims. One final item I wanted to cover is the Adjustments button that's located in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. If you use this Adjustments button, this is going to bring in any adjustments made during a payment period for things like business cost premiums or retroactive payments. These aren't related to any particular patient, but they're more of an overall adjustment. That brings me to the end of my Accuro portion of the presentation. I'm now just going to head into the Accuro Resources page. So our resources page, to get to this website, you'll need to go to AccuroEMR.com/support. Just before I jump into the resources page, I did want to mention that we will have a survey at the end of this session, so please do stay until the end to complete that survey for us. We really do appreciate your feedback. All right, so the resources page, we have the search field at the top, so you can search for specific topics by keyword, so if you're wanting to learn more about billing, or you can also browse by category. From this main page, you can select the icon to take you to a specific resource. If you'd like to learn more about training, we can click on Explore Training Options. This will take you to the training page. Here you can see all of the training options that are available. You'll be able to see a library of all of our previous webinars. The videos will be linked here. You can also find and learn more about one-on-one training. Another option is to sign up for our Accuro Learning Academy, which is our free online training option. You just need your email address to sign up, and once you've signed up, you can take the Accuro Performance Training courses. This is a comprehensive program designed to help you master Accuro. It consists of 3 levels, which is Basic, Core, and Pro. When you first log into your Accuro Learning Academy account, at the top of the page, there is an Accuro Performance Training option. This will take you to the Performance Training main page. If I scroll down just a little bit, you'll be able to see that we can see all 3 categories. So we've got the Basic, Core, as well as Pro. We can start with the basic level, and if I click on Claims Basics, I can then go and head into the BC learning pathway. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I wanted to mention again that there will be that survey that should be popping up shortly. We'd really appreciate your feedback, as this does help us drive what we present. I wanted to thank everyone for attending today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.